Hi, everyone. Reverend Dr. Katie here. I'm coming to you, on January 8th, 2021. 2021 has really just started out, hasn't it? I feel like we've crammed 1 year into 1 week. And we have been pretty quiet here in the group, in the Metaphysical Christian, the past 2 days, partly in honor, not honor of, but in respect to all the events that happened in the U.S. Capitol building in Washington, D.C. on January 6th. This is an international group. I love that we are so diverse, and a lot of you do live in the United States. And because this country is so influential and has been so powerful the past few decades, the actions here affect us globally, and we're all interconnected. What happens in any other countries also affect us. So I want to be very direct in addressing the energy and addressing what has gone on. I'm going to talk about sort of the ethics of this group and some comments about some of my thoughts about what happened on Wednesday, and also talk about this question of, is God in control? Because that's something that we hear Christians say a lot. Maybe kind of want to break that open, blow that open a little bit for everyone. And then talk about how you can personally cope, because there's a lot of energy out there. There's a lot of unknowns. That feeling of unrest can be very unsettling. And I know for me personally, on Wednesday, I was in a Zoom meeting from 11 to 12:30 my time in California. I got off my Zoom meeting, turned on the news, and was like, what? I mean, I'm just going to we're all adults, right? I was like, what the fuck happened in the past hour and a half? So that's where we are, y'all. That's exactly where we are. So I want to be very upfront about this particular group, Metaphysical Christians. We're coming from all theopolitical different perspectives and backgrounds, and we're bringing all of that to the table. I'm very appreciative of that because I think diversity is really what is the name of the game here. Unequivocally, in the group, we are anti-racist, we are LGBTQI affirming and inclusive. And this group is meant to help you become the most authentic version of yourself that God calls you to be while you are here on the earth. I'm going to say all three of those things again. This group is unequivocally anti-racist. It is unequivocally LGBTQI affirming and inclusive. And this group helps us, everyone, to seek to be the most authentic version of ourselves that God calls us to be while we are here on the earth. What happened on Wednesday was antithetical to all three of those things. And again, I'm going to say that unequivocally. What happened on Wednesday in the U.S. Capitol was unequivocally not any of those things. It was racist. It had misogynistic undertones and overtones to it as well. And it was not an authentic expression of God's true self alive in people. That being said, we need to move on in our personal lives, right? I don't mean move on as in being forgetful. What I mean is to integrate this radical unrest and seek to be change makers, to give out ripple effects in our own lives that are powerful, that are very, very powerful. And we're all called to do that no matter what theological, political background or present we happen to occupy, because that's what we're all here to do. And we're here to do that within our diversity. In working with me, no, unequivocally, it will be anti-racist work, and it will be LGBTQI inclusive work, and it will be woman affirming work. Always. All right. So let's go into this question of, is God in control? Because that's one that comes up a lot. I noticed I'm old enough to remember 9/11 with a lot of clarity. And some of the Christian rhetoric that was around right after 9/11 was, oh, don't worry, God's in control. Like whenever there's a disaster, whenever something bad happens, it's a kind of an easy thing to say, God is in control, God is in control. I think that might be the wrong question, because we don't really know God's mind in that way, right? God has given us here on earth, I believe, a choice, free will. We get to enact that free will every single nanosecond of every single day. And God actually respects that. And I believe that when God sees the human race acting horrifically, God weeps. And I'm not sure that God always interferes with that choice that humans make. And I know I've made poor choices at times in the past. Sometimes I feel like God and my guardian angels are like, what's she doing? What is she doing down there? Right? But God is there to help me when I'm ready to get back on my feet. And so this question of is God in control is maybe I want to just like put it into your brains that maybe we can ask a different question as metaphysical Christians, which is not is God in control, or maybe not make that statement, or maybe make the statement, but let's counter that with how can I help enact God's love? How can I help enact God's kindness? How can I help enact God's mercy and grace and justice here on the earth? How do I do that? And of course, you're all in this group. One of the key ways that I find I can do that within my life is through these metaphysical gifts, is by exploring the metaphysical world, is by tapping into the energy that is all around me all of the time and bringing the very, very best of that to you, to others, to the world, to the wherever I go during the day. And so for me, it's not about God being in control. It's about me being the agent of God, because God gave us the person of Jesus, who we claim as our Savior, to teach us how to be in the world. And so when we are that way, and for me, I do that through, in large part, through my metaphysical interactions, then we can be the agents of change that God has put us on the earth to be. So it's not so much that I believe God is in control. Maybe God is, maybe God isn't. I do believe that God is a God of choice. So I believe that God is telling me, hey, Katie, what you gonna do? How are you gonna use your voice? How are you gonna use your gifts? What are you doing today to help enact the radical kingdom of God, the radical kingdom that Jesus came here to teach us how to be in? And let's be in it, right? So I think we're in that every day, but it's really up to us to be the agents of change, of grace, of love, of mercy in the world. That's what I'm here to do, and I believe that most of you are in here to do that as well. So, y'all, let's get busy. Let's get busy doing that. So I'll just invite everyone to reframe that question of if God is in control to you are the agent of God here on earth. You are we are servants of God, but we are also children of God, that God has blessed with the ability to have impact, right? And that impact happens every moment of every day. And it's how we live our lives, the kind of interactions that we have, the way that we use our voice out there. And now let's talk just for a minute about how do we as metaphysical Christians, what's our next step? So I want to acknowledge that many of you feel unsettled, right? Felt unsettled maybe the past 2 days. You know what? That's okay. I don't want to spiritually bypass and tell you how you should feel or shouldn't feel, because that's just senseless. That bypasses how we actually do feel and the impact. This is a big thing, right? It has a big impact on us and the way and not on our vibration necessarily. See the unit on vibration about that, but this has a big impact on how we process and how we experience. So the major thing is to be able to process, to be able to tap into your empathic self, not as something that boxes you in, but as energy that flows through you. And doesn't get locked and stuck in you. And so all of the metaphysical gifts and processes and the way we kind of think about energy is really important here. That's not something I can cover all on a Facebook Live, but if that's something you're interested in, do go ahead and reach out to me. But it's really important for us to process our own emotions and to enact our gifts in a way that leaves us feeling as grounded as we possibly can be, so that we know what our action is. So this brings me kind of back to point 2. We are the workers of Christ here in the world. We are the agents of God here in the world. And so it's by tapping into those metaphysical realities, into our gifts, into our intuition, and setting our intention. That's how we know what is our role out there to do. My role may be very different from yours, may be very different from someone else's, but it's when we tap into our deepest core being that we know what we're called to do in that moment and to get out there and do it. And that's how we have our ripple effect. Right? That's how we have our ripple effect. Processing our emotions, acknowledging where we are, and then getting out there and doing the thing that we're called to do. So getting in alignment with your chakras, getting grounded, asking yourself deep and intuitive and reflective questions, making sure you're practicing really, really healthy and good self-care. Those are all really great ways. You know, yesterday, many of you attended the training that I had, the soul expansion training. I was teeter. I had this fleeting thought on Wednesday. I was like, maybe I should cancel that. That seems maybe is it tone deaf to have this training? Are we not going to be able to pay attention to it? But then immediately, I kind of tuned into my own intuition. My intuition was like, oh, have the training. Obviously, we have to have the training because that's what gives many people the exercises that they need to tap into their intuition and to get out there and to do the holy work that we're called to do. Right. So we had it and it was really fun. I had a lot of fun interacting with everyone. So Christians, Jesus workers, arise. It's time to get out there and be the voice, to be the hands, to be the feet of Christ. That's what we're all called to do. You're here in this particular group, or maybe you're watching this on YouTube because you feel aligned somehow with the metaphysical world as a Jesus follower. So let's put all those things in order, get in touch, get deeper with your gifts, and let's get busy. All right, everyone. I will respond to any comments through typing. I want to go ahead and keep this pretty short, and I will talk to everyone really soon.